Dating isn't just about looks, money, or status. It's about connection. And connection is built through words, tone, and the way you make someone feel when they're with you. Most people think conversations in dating are just small talk. Where you're from, what you do, what kind of music you like. But here's the truth. Conversations are power. If you know how to guide them, you can spark attraction, build trust, and leave a lasting impression that makes the other person think about you long after the date is over. Today, I'm going to reveal 5 psychological tricks they don't teach you. The subtle tools that allow you to control any conversation in dating without coming across as manipulative or fake. These are the same techniques used by charismatic people, great leaders, and yes, even professional psychologists to make people feel understood and captivated. Now let's break down these 5 psychological tricks, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to keep any date flowing smoothly while keeping the other person completely engaged. Trick 1. The power of emotional labeling. Most people in dating conversations stick to logic. They ask things like, what do you do for work? Or where did you grow up? The problem is that logic rarely creates chemistry. Attraction is emotional, not rational. That's why one of the most powerful tricks you can use is emotional labeling, the ability to name and acknowledge the emotions someone else is expressing. Let's say your date is talking about how stressful their week was at work. Instead of just nodding and saying, yeah, work is tough, you could respond with, sounds like you felt completely drained dealing with all that. In that moment, you're not just hearing their words, you're showing you understand their feelings. That subtle shift makes people feel deeply validated, and when someone feels understood, they naturally open up more. Psychologists use emotional labeling to build trust quickly. You can use it in dating to turn small talk into real talk. It's like flipping a switch. Instead of being just another conversation, you become the person who makes them feel seen, and that feeling is addictive. Trick 2. The curiosity loop. Most of us were taught to answer questions politely, but in dating, answering without looping the conversation back kills the vibe. Imagine this. Your date asks, do you like to travel? And you respond, yeah, I love traveling. I went to Italy last year. Then you stop. That's the end of the thread. It dies there. The secret is to create a curiosity loop. You answer the question, but then you add something that invites them deeper. For example, yeah, I love traveling. I went to Italy last year and accidentally got lost in Venice. Have you ever had a trip where something went hilariously wrong? Notice what happened. You didn't just give information. You pulled them into a story and then handed the spotlight back. This creates a rhythm that keeps the energy alive. The best conversationalists never let a topic close flat. They open doors, tell mini stories, and then throw the ball back in a way that makes the other person eager to share. When you master curiosity loops, you'll find dates that used to feel like interviews suddenly feel like adventures. The other person leaves thinking, wow, that conversation flew by. And that's exactly what you want. Trick 3. Mirroring with a twist. You've probably heard of mirroring, subtly copying someone's body language or tone. It's a classic psychological trick because it works. People feel comfortable around those who reflect them. But in dating, you need to take it a step further, because simple mirroring can come off robotic or even creepy. Here's the twist. Mirror their energy, not just their words. If your date is speaking softly and sharing something personal, you lower your tone and slow your pace. If they're excited and laughing, you match that spark with enthusiasm. This creates an invisible synchronization that makes them feel like you're on the same wavelength. For example, if your date is telling a funny story about childhood, instead of just laughing, you might lean in and add, "That totally reminds me of when I was a kid," and by matching their excitement and then amplifying it with your own contribution, you create what's known as emotional contagion. Humans naturally catch emotions from each other, and when you lead with the right energy, the conversation doesn't just flow, it lights up. This is how you build chemistry without forcing it. You're not faking interest, you're tuning into their frequency and then guiding the conversation forward like a dance. Trick 4. The strategic pause. Most people rush through conversations because they're nervous. They fire off answers quickly, afraid of awkward silence. But silence, when used correctly, is one of the most powerful tools you have. Psychologists call this the strategic pause. Deliberately leaving small spaces in conversation so the other person feels compelled to fill them. Here's why it works. Silence creates anticipation. Let's say your date says, "I've always wanted to live abroad." Instead of immediately responding with, "Yeah, me too, that sounds great," you pause, smile, and let the silence hang for a moment. 9 times out of 10, your date will keep talking. "Yeah, I've always dreamed of Paris. The food, the culture, it just feels like home to me." That extra detail never would have come out if you jumped in too fast. By pausing, you're giving space for vulnerability. You're signaling that you're comfortable enough not to rush, which makes you appear confident and present. And here's the bonus. When you finally do respond, your words carry more weight because they aren't competing with nervous chatter. The strategic pause is subtle, but it transforms conversations from surface level to meaningful. It shows that you're not just there to talk, you're there to listen, and that, in dating, is magnetic. Trick 5. Planting seeds of future connection. The last trick is perhaps the most powerful for turning a single date into something more. It's called planting seeds of future connection. Essentially, you weave subtle references into the conversation that suggest future shared experiences. For instance, if your date says they love sushi, you might respond with, "There's this little hidden sushi place downtown that's incredible, you'd love it." You're not asking them out right away, but you're planting an image of the two of you experiencing it together. Later, when you text them, you can casually say, "Remember that sushi spot I mentioned? Let's check it out next week." The psychology here is fascinating. When you plant future seeds, the other person's brain starts to imagine those scenarios. That visualization makes them more likely to want to see you again because, in their mind, they've already pictured it. It transforms the idea of a second date from an abstract plan into something that already feels real. This trick works with travel, hobbies, concerts, or even small activities. The key is to sprinkle it naturally into the flow of conversation, not as a sales pitch. Done right, it makes the idea of seeing you again feel less like a decision and more like a continuation of something that's already started, bringing it all together. So, let's tie this up. To control any conversation in dating, you don't need to dominate, manipulate, or overwhelm. Real control comes from guiding the emotional flow. By labeling emotions, you show deep understanding. By creating curiosity loops, you keep the spark alive. By mirroring energy with a twist, you generate chemistry. By using strategic pauses, you invite vulnerability. And by planting seeds of future connection, you build momentum that naturally carries beyond the first date. Remember, these tricks aren't about pretending to be someone you're not. They're about unlocking the best version of yourself in conversation. When you use them authentically, you'll find that people open up faster, laugh harder, and feel more connected to you. That's the essence of charisma. Not controlling others, but creating an experience so engaging that they want to keep coming back for more. At the end of the day, the real secret to controlling any conversation in dating is not about having the perfect line or a rehearsed script. It's about presence. People are drawn to those who make them feel safe, interesting, and alive in the moment. When you show genuine curiosity, when you slow down enough to listen, and when you spark emotions instead of facts, you shift the entire energy of the interaction. That's what creates unforgettable chemistry. These 5 tricks aren't quick hacks to win someone over. They're long-term tools that reshape how you connect with anyone you meet. Practice them with authenticity, and you'll notice that conversations flow naturally, attraction grows faster, and dating stops being stressful and starts becoming exciting. Now that you know these 5 psychological tricks, the real question is, will you use them? Next time you're on a date, try just one of these techniques and watch how the conversation changes. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more powerful insights into psychology and dating, and drop a comment below telling me which trick you're going to test first. Remember, control in dating isn't about manipulation, it's about creating connection. And the more you practice, the more natural it will feel.